Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's Planning Commission. And as typical, we're going to start with our Pledge of Allegiance. If we could all stand in honor of the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Okay, Ms. Villalobos, if we can have our TV coverage announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good morning to the rest of the commission. Planning Commission hearings are televised live on County of Santa Barbara Television, CSP TV, Channel 20 at 9 a.m. in the South Coast, Lompoc, San Ynez Valley, Samaria, and Orca areas. Rebroadcast of Planning Commission hearings are on Fridays at 5 p.m. on CSP TV, Channel 20. Today's hearing will also be streamed live on the county's website as well as the county's YouTube channel, and will be available for download in a day or two. Should I move on to roll call?
Yes, please.
Commissioner Cooney?
Here.
Commissioner Bridley?
Here.
Commissioner Reed?
Here.
And Chair Martinez.
Here.
And we are expecting Commissioner Park, hopefully.
Yes. Yeah. And if we could have the agenda status report.
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, in regards to the status of the agenda today, we do have a request for continuance on the first item, the TAT Ventures LLC. And then we have the two telecom projects, and then the fourth item is the appeal of the Blanco grading access road improvements. My understanding that staff and applicants are ready to present on all those items. And the first item, the applicant is prepared for that to be continued. So that's the status of the agenda today, Mr. Chair. I can go to the projection report if you'd like.
Yes, please.
So our next scheduled hearing is going to be on July 24th, and that will be in Santa Barbara. And that was a special hearing that we'd set to revisit the agriculture enterprise ordinances. Again, that's going to be in Santa Barbara. And then the hearing after that is July 31st. That is also in Santa Barbara. There are two items on that. An appeal of the El Capitan Canyon Campground, and then the appeals of the Sierra Botanicals cannabis processing. In addition, we are tentatively targeting that date for a discussion item with the Planning Commission regarding permitting and processing of housing projects. We do need to coordinate with the division managers on that date, Mr. Seawards and Mr. Tuttle, as well as the director. But as of right now, we're targeting that date tentatively to have a discussion with the planning commissioners in regards to the different housing laws and how we're processing those internally.
And that's the 31st you're talking about.
That is correct, Mr. Chair. I think it's anticipated that the El Capitan campground may be resolved by then, but, or maybe not.
Good morning, Commissioners. They're still negotiating. My sense is they are not going to withdraw in time that you would not have to review it, unfortunately. But if something happens next week, we'll try and get the word out through David.
Okay. And I know we're going to continue the matter on, at least you announced on the item number 1 on our agenda, but I think then we'll talk about dates to continue that too when we have that. Okay.
So that would be the 31st, would be potentially 3 items. The last item would be that discussion item. If we can't make that, we can look at other dates in August for that discussion item. So then on August 7th, there are no items projected at this point. And then moving to August 14th, we do have 3 items, which is an appeal of the Sentinel Peak Resources Truck Rack Project, another telecom project off of Clark Avenue, and then a cannabis ordinance. We're potentially targeting August 14th for bringing up the cannabis ordinance amendments, but that could shift. So that's on August 14th, and that is located here in Santa Maria. So those ordinance amendments for the cannabis ordinance amendments are related to the board direction regarding monitoring and enforcement options that we'll be bringing to the Planning Commission and then to the board. But that is a tentative date, and we'll probably know more as the month progresses on that. So then after that, August 28th, we have 3 items projected on that, which is appeal of the Channel Islands YMCA. I think that was continued to that date from our last hearing. And then we're tentatively scheduling the TAT Ventures, which is on the agenda today for the August 28th as well. And then we have the Perkins Place mixed use in Cuyama Valley. And that is here in Santa Maria on August 28th.
Okay, so that would be, that's the date then that we're looking to continue of the item number 1 to the 28th then?
That is correct, Mr.
Okay.
Chair. And then on September 4th, we have a note that Commissioner Kinney will be absent. And then I've failed to coordinate with Long Range Planning, and they've added 2 more items to that agenda. So we'll continue to work with our division to potentially move those. And if that's the case, then there won't be any items on that date, but we have the outdoor lighting and then the streamlined permitting and the coastal zone ordinance. But I think at the last hearing, Commissioner Cooney said that he's anxiously waiting those items to be part of that, so we can work with the division managers to move those items.
Thank you.
And if that's the case, then we won't have any items on the 4th. And then September 11th, as of now, we have no items projected. And then the next time we have an item projected is in September 25th, which is a report on the Strauss Wind Energy Project. This is coming to the Planning Commission as the adaptive management plan that was placed on the project through conditions of approval has been triggered. So we'll be coming to the Planning Commission to provide information and discussion on next steps dealing with the bird strikes. October 2nd, we have a homeowner's appeal of another cannabis project in Carpinteria, and then nothing is projected until the end of the year for the County Planning Commission. So we're almost looking at the end of the year. 2024 is almost half over, or I guess it is.
Okay. Commissioners, do you have any comments or questions of Mr. Wilson? Commissioner Goody, your light's on. Okay, so I see none. Thank you, thank you. So let's move on to public comment. And public comment is opportunity to comment on matters that are not on our agenda today. And I have one speaker. I don't know if there's any remotely.
If you are attending remotely and like to speak for items not on today's agenda, raise your hand and I'll call on you after Ms. Sandoval.
Diana Sandoval, I have a speaker comment for here in the office.
And no additional hands up.
Okay, Ms. Sandoval, if you can, this is your opportunity. We have 3 minutes, and then whenever, and this goes for everybody, whenever you're up at the podium speaking to the commission, if you could please first start by announcing your name and then proceed with what you're saying. Ms. Sandoval, if you could start.
Dear Chair, members of the Planning Commission, I am Diana Sandoval, and once again, I stand before you to discuss the ongoing injustice regarding my property and planning development's disregard for state and local regulations, and my legal rights. My experience with planning and development is plagued by a pattern of obstruction, raising serious concerns about ethical breaches and potential corruption. This bridge is in an ESHA and in violation of the Coastal Act and Santa Barbara coastal ordinances. I have twice filed timely appeals concerning the illegal and unsafe reconstruction of the bridge and the county's taking of my private property. Both times, Director Plowman preemptively refused my appeals without even reviewing the contents. Eventually, they were accepted but denied. Ms. Plowman claimed they were untimely because the decision to exempt the bridge from state and local law was made in September 2023. Despite my repeated questioning of this incorrect date, she reaffirmed it multiple times. Only after a third Public Records Act request for this decision did she acknowledge a, quote, typo, revising the date to a year earlier in September 2022. Why is this significant? In September 2022, Ms. Plowman assured me her team would provide me a comprehensive assessment regarding zoning issues surrounding the bridge. This assessment never materialized. Furthermore, the County Code, Article 2, Section 35, 181.2, explicitly mandates that property owners like myself receive notice of the decision. Yet, I received no notification of this decision. To illustrate the director's misrepresentation of the code, Ms. Plowman states, "The code does not require notification of neighbors," which is a deliberate misrepresentation, as the code clearly distinguishes between neighbors and the property owner, like myself. In June of this year, Ms. Plowman communicated this decision, and I promptly filed a timely appeal, only to be denied based on a fabricated timeline. I have since submitted a fourth PRA request for this alleged September 22 decision, as previous PRA correspondence clearly states zoning permits are needed. This pattern of obstruction and misrepresentation raises serious concerns about potential corruption within the department, seemingly to shield a wealthy neighbor who has not only encroached on my property, but is obstructing a public trail. In the past, you've asked, how can the Planning Commission help? Well, since it's a zoning issue, 1, please add my complaint to the agenda for the next meeting of July 24th. 2, please review Planning and Development's illegal exemption from a CDP, which I can dive into when added to the agenda. And 3, please ensure my appeals, which I am resubmitting to you shortly, to be processed as timely. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sandoval.
Can I submit these?
I'm unsure about the procedure about submitting things from public comment, so I would just ask council in regards to that, or how it works, or Mr. Villalobos, or whoever is aware of the procedure.
Chair and Commissioners, the clerk can accept it as a document related to public comment, and then the director can evaluate the appeal and whether it is timely or able to be accepted.
Okay, thank you for that instruction.
Okay, thank you. Ooh.
Thank you. Obviously, we can see it on television, but for those who are remotely, Commissioner Parker's here now. Welcome. Hopefully, everything's going okay up there, that fire, but we shall see. Planning Commissioner's informational reports. Does any Planning Commissioner have any information that they would like to report publicly here today? Commissioner Reed.
On June 26, I did attend a public workshop in the 4th District. It was conducted by Bob Nelson. It was a public workshop on the proposed development agreement regarding the Richards Ranch project on the corner of 135 and Union Valley Parkway in Santa Maria.
All right. Anyone else? Commissioner Park.
I'm sorry for coming so late. I was delayed by the kind of mess that's getting out of the Santa Ynez Valley, but I'm not annoyed. Actually, I'm buoyed, because as I drove from Fox and Canyon Road along 154 to the freeway, I counted 21 fire trucks coming in all different colors, which means they came from all jurisdictions. And it's kind of emotional. It's like watching the old cowboy movies and seeing the cavalry arrive. And I love those people, and we should all love them. We should express it in every way we can, even my corny way on television, because these people are putting their lives at stake. This fire is moving to the southeast really, really fast. It's burning all that grass that grew so high in these last 2 years of rain. Speaking of that grass, I put on an endurance ride at the Rancho San Fernando Rey a week and a half ago. It was very successful, but what we found, the grass was so high, and the cows are getting really fat, that things that I used to mark by vehicle, I couldn't do because of concern of starting fires. So I spent a long time on horseback, and I saw all this invasive Mediterranean grass, and it's just getting like that. Some of it was 5 feet high. It was interesting. I got into some spots, and I'd see this native bunch grass, which is still green, okay, and it's kind of nicely separated, and it's hard to burn that stuff. And so I think we're going to have a lot of interesting issues to talk about over the years that are land use planning that'll come before the Planning Commission on how we do things and control these disasters. But my main point was to express my jubilation that I was delayed by all those wonderful fire trucks pouring in.
Thank you for that, and you're correct. People put their lives on the line for others. It's a very special gift to give. Minutes.
I'm sorry, I did put a little note in the email to the commission last night, so the minutes aren't ready, so staff would just request that you continue review of those, that set to your next meeting.
Okay, everyone fine with that? Seeing that everybody's fine with that, thank you. And then we're going to skip the director's report. Unfortunately, the director is unavailable today, and there's really no comments regarding those that occurred at the Board of Supervisors that really pertain to the Planning Commission. With that in hand, why don't we move on to our standard agenda, and that would be line item, or item number 1.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The following is a hearing on the request of Thomas Kopetnik, property owner, to consider case number 23 CUP 6 and the State CEQA Guidelines Section 15168C4 checklist for commercial cannabis use entitlement and licensing applications, and determine that all the environmental impacts of the project were within the scope of the project covered by the PEIR for the Cannabis Land Use Ordinance and Licensing Program.
Okay, and Mr. Wilson, I'm sure you'll help me out with this, but this is the one that that there's been, or at least staff can help me with this too, is that there's already been an agreement to continue this matter to the 28th of August?
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, that's correct. There was a memo submitted on July 2nd with a request for the project to be continued to August 28th.
Okay, and I don't know if we need any formal acceptance of that memo, or is that what we're looking for?
So, Mr. Chair and Commissioners, what we do need to, we will need a motion to continue it, but we do need to open it up for public comment on the continuance item.
Okay,
And staff's here if you have any questions regarding that.
okay. Well, let me ask, is there any public comment first, so we can hear about that? I don't see any in regards to the written request for speaking, but if there's any remotely, let's find out that.
Mr. Chair, I don't see any hands up for this item.
Okay, and commissioners, do you have any comments regarding this request? Commissioner Park?
I support the request. I've been in a little bit of communication with the applicants. I think this is a good idea for actually every side, such as there are to this matter. So I stand ready to make the motion at such time as you're ready for me to make it, Mr. Chair.
Okay, just assured, are there any other comments from the board? Commissioners? Not seeing none, ready for that motion?
Okay, I move that we continue this matter, it's item 1 on our standard agenda today, to August 28, 2024.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Commissioner Reed with a second. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone against? Say nay. No. Anyone abstaining? Passes unanimously. So on to item number 2 of our agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The following is a hearing on a request of Verizon Wireless to consider case number 23 CUP 21 and to determine the project is exempt from CEQA pursuant to CEQA Guidelines Section 15303 and 15304.
So I'll present this to staff.
Good morning, Chair Martinez, members of the commission. My name is Soren Kringle, and today, oh, is this Sharon?
You just gotta move the microphone closer to you, too.
Gotcha. I'm good here, as long, okay, there we go. Just wanted to make sure that was pulled up. Good morning, members of the commission. My name is Soren Kringle, and today I will be presenting a major conditional use permit application for a new unmanned Verizon facility off of Highway 33, case number 23 CUP 21. Shown here is a vicinity map showing the project's location along Highway 33. Oh, that is not the right. That's the wrong presentation. No.
That was the problem.
We need to warm up.
1 second. Here we go.
Oh, that's the PDF one though.
So they were in the presentations.
Oh, there
One
we
of
go.
those two.
Verizon presentation.
I think yours has more pictures. Try the top one first.
Okay. Oh, no.
No?
This one.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
Wait, no.
Wait, no. This one. Here we go.
Okay.
Now we're good.
Got it.
Sorry about that. Okay, I'm just going to restart. Okay, so I will be presenting a major conditional use permit application for a new unmanned Verizon facility off of Highway 33, case number 23, CUP 21. Shown here is a vicinity map showing the project's location along Highway 33. For reference, the proposed facility site is approximately 4 miles south of the intersection of Highway 166 and Highway 33, and approximately 4.4 miles north of the town of Ventucopa in the rural Cuyama Valley. The proposed project site is located on a 225-acre parcel zoned Ag 240, and is surrounded by parcels of similar zoning and size. There are some Ag 200 parcels out there as well. This stretch of the Cuyama Valley is dominated by agricultural fields, contains sparse residential structures, and is surrounded by arid mountain ranges. The proposed project is located within an existing gravel turnout along Highway 33, which currently contains various sized liquefied natural gas storage tanks, as well as numerous power poles. The construction of the facility will not require the relocation of any of these structures. The facility itself will be located approximately 20 feet from the right-of-way of Highway 33. And shown here, the project will be contained within a 40 by 40 foot equipment lease area that will be surrounded by a 6-foot tall chain link fence with privacy slats, all painted a BAR approved light tan color. And the lease area will contain the following structures: a 100-foot monopole, a backup diesel generator, 2 equipment cabinets, and a Verizon telco box. The facility also contains 4 manually operated lights that are on timers, and these lights are all located in or adjacent to the equipment cabinets and will only be used when the facility requires servicing at night. The project also included review by Caltrans, who issued a permit for the new driveway approach for the facility off Highway 33. And finally, electrical services will be extended to the facility via trenching from a nearby PG&E pole. Shown here are elevations of the 100-foot monopole. The pole itself will contain 9 wireless antennas, 1 microwave dish, and 6 wireless radio units. The monopole and attached equipment will all be painted a BAR-approved light tan color, similar to that of the privacy slats. Except for the wireless antennas, due to technical reasons, they require a film coating that will also be light tan in color. Shown here is a street view image looking north along Highway 33 of the existing project site. On the left side there, you can see the large white LNG tank. You can note that there are the numerous power poles and the vast agricultural fields. And then shown here is a photo simulation of what the facility will look like. And as stated before, the monopole will be painted a light tan, which was recommended by the North Board of Architectural Review. Here's another view of the existing site looking south. And as a side note, as I go to the next slide, NBAR weighed other design options when it went to the hearing. They explored potentially a monopine, but decided that due to the lack of trees in the region, it probably would have made the facility stand out more. So that's why they opted to go for the monopole with the tan color, so that it'll blend in with the surrounding environment. Shown here are existing and expected coverage maps. So on the left is the existing cell phone coverage along Highway 33 in the valley. And then on the right shows the increase in coverage if this project is approved and the facility becomes operational. To summarize, the project did conduct an alternative site analysis. 5 sites were analyzed, this being the #1 option. The project will provide greater coverage to the rural Cuyama Valley and along Highway 33 in that region. It will increase or improve emergency response times to the region. It meets all of the FCC requirements, and it meets all of our LUDC and comp plan development standards and policies. Staff is recommending that the commission determine the project is exempt from CEQA pursuant to State CEQA Guidelines Section 15303, new construction or conversion of small structures for the construction of the monopole, the fencing, and the equipment, ground level equipment, and CEQA Guidelines Section 15304, minor alteration to land for the trenching and minor grading. And staff recommends that the Planning Commission make the required findings for approval of the project specified in Attachment A of the staff report, including CEQA findings, determine the project is exempt from CEQA pursuant to State CEQA Guidelines Section 15303 and 15304, and approve the project case number 23 CUP 21, subject to the conditions of approval included as Attachment B. This concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions, and the agent for the project is available online. Thank you.
Commissioners, any questions? Commissioner Cooney.
Yes, thank you for the report. Very efficient. And what I was struck with initially was the 100-foot height of the pole. As we saw from the photos, it's quite a bit above the existing poles, which are conducting telephone and others. So I would just like to know why it needs to be that high as opposed to bringing it down to the level of the other poles.
Commissioner Cooney through the chair, I think for the technical reasons are probably better addressed by the applicant. And I will say, just in discussions with them, having the pole be 100 feet significantly increases like the coverage range. And I think it was, in discussions with them, it was kind of the more bang for your buck, essentially, by putting a larger pole versus, a number of smaller cell sites throughout the valley.
Okay.
Thank you. I realize it's a trade-off. Every foot is maybe subject to the comment that it will provide greater coverage. At some point, I think we have to compromise. Maybe 100 foot in this location is necessary as opposed to just preference. And so when we talk to the applicant, we might get some more information on the value of the extra footage.
Any other comments from the commissioners? Commissioner Reed.
I just had one question with respect to the height of that device. If it were at a similar height of the the nearby power transmission lines, would increase the potential of interference? I mean, perhaps there's another reason for extending it above those.
Commissioner Reed through the chair, I think I'll defer to the applicant on that. I'm not sure about interference.
I see no other comments from the commissioner, so I guess this is the applicant's opportunity to speak to the commissioners. Is it remotely or is the agent here?
Thank you, commissioners. I'm remote. My name's Eric
Okay.
Lance. I do have a small presentation, if that can pop up, kind of help explain some of the issues with the height. I can jump into that.
You have the floor.
Looks like it's up. All right, great. Well, thanks, Commissioner. Thank you, Soren, as well, for all your help and assistance with this one. My name is Eric Lance. I'm representing Verizon Wireless on this application to install a new wireless communication facility out in the Coahoma Valley. You could go to the next slide, please. And this will kind of orientate sort of where we are. I know Soren had some other maps that kind of point to a location. We go to the next slide. We can jump into this. All right, thank you. So the coverage objective in this area is the area along Highway 166, Highway 33, and then the surrounding residential and the farming areas. And not only just covering that 166 corridor, but kind of trying to get down to 33, kind of as far south as we possibly could. This area was partially covered by, there was a repeater just north of here. It was a small repeater, didn't really provide a lot of coverage down 33 south, but that lease was lost, and that landlord did not want to renew or install a new facility on their property. So Verizon was tasked to look elsewhere. So this new tower would not only just improve the coverage area around that, pretty much really close it in the whole Cuyama Valley for the most part, but it improves what was lost from the repeater. So the height, the 100-foot height requirement would be necessary. This is a very large area. To be able to cover what Verizon is trying to cover and close that gap, height is necessary here. We see a lot of cell sites in cities where we tend to go lower because you have a lot more cell sites in the area, so you don't need the height to cover that area. So if we did go much lower, say the height of the existing utility poles, you would actually end up needing another tower somewhere nearby. So the benefit is having taller is you have one tower versus multiple. The other benefit of going taller like this is this tower would be co-locatable. So other carriers, if they're looking to close their gap in this area, and, AT&T, T-Mobile, Dish Wireless, we're showing it co-locatable up to 2 more carriers. So you could get another carrier below Verizon, like AT&T, for example. AT&T or Dish or T-Mobile would not have to go search and find a spot for their own pole. So you're not having multiple poles in the same area. So that's sort of the benefit of having it taller. It assists Verizon closing their gap, but it also provides opportunities for co-location. Let me go to the next slide, please. So this is sort of reiterate this coverage objective. This is the existing coverage without the proposed site, and we're kind of like in that bottom yellow part, sort of right smack in the middle of the screen. If you go to the next slide, you'll see the objective is significantly increases, but also you can see that tail that goes south along 33 towards actual Ventacopa is increased dramatically by having it located where we're proposing it. We did do, if you go to the next slide, please. We did do an alternative site analysis. I just want to touch on that a little bit here. This area it's ag land, very large parcels, very few owners out there. So we did look elsewhere, and we had an array of property owners who Verizon could not have lease agreements made. Some landlords just weren't interested. The location that we chose, the landlord was interested. It has a spot that's available. It's already improved, as Soren mentioned, has the LNG tanks. There's a slew of utility poles around it, and the access to power is adjacent to it, and also that location does not impede upon agricultural processes nearby. So putting a pole, for example, in the middle of an ag field is kind of frowned upon. It's difficult to get a landlord to agree to put a pole in the middle of their field, which really interferes with operations. Can you go to the next slide, please? You might as well go to the next one. These are just some photo simulations. It's going to show you. And I know Soren had popped some up here. This photo right here is taken from approximately a mile away. As you see, utility poles line 33 on the left-hand side, and off in the distance, that's the 100-foot tall pole. And then the next slide, you'll see if we had a grove of trees, we would probably do a faux tree. Instead, we're going to plant a pole in the middle of a grove of utility poles. So this is sort of what it looks like up close. This is not taken from 33, but it's taken from a little side road to kind of show to scale what it would look like in that area. And you can see the LNG tank. This is actually facing west. And then the next slide is just more of the same. This is actually taken from 33. This is facing north. So you see as you're coming in a nice drive from Ojai and you want to go up to New Cuyama, this is what it would look like when you get fairly close to it. Those power poles on the right are quite a bit shorter. If we were to locate on something that high of the power poles, the gap, that coverage is significantly limited. So, which is again why the 100-foot was selected or preferred from Verizon to be able to really get the maximum extent of coverage in this area. That ends my presentation. Obviously, if you have any additional questions, I'm available, and it's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you for that presentation. And commissioners, if you have any questions of the agent, Commissioner Cooney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't have questions. Just a comment that in this particular landscape, there is very little to balance off, and so it stands out more prominently than it would in almost any other location in the county. I don't have a particular suggestion in terms of making it less visible as it's approached from Highway 30 or 166. So, I will support the project. I'd much prefer having just one pole rather than two slightly shorter poles. So I've had my questions answered. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any other commissioners? Seeing none, then I don't know if there's no public speaker remotely or here, from my understanding.
We have no speakers online, and I have not received any physical speaker slips for this item.
Okay, and I think, I don't know if it was, I can't remember if it was necessary or not, but I'll just ask the question, any ex-parte communications regarding this agenda item? Seeing none, okay. And staff, do you have anything to add right now?
Chair, nothing to add. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll take it into deliberations for the commissioners. And Mr. Cooney, if you wanted to lead, I know this is your district, so.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's a regret I have that my schedule doesn't permit more time in the Cuyama area. I keep looking for a project that would justify spending the time necessary to get there. Every time I do, and have in the past, I've gained more appreciation for not only the area, but the complex issues that we sometimes face in the planning area. Water related issues stand out particularly, but in this instance, I think there is good reason for the height and certainly for the existence of the tower. So I'd be prepared to move approval of the project as submitted.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner.
I want to make a comment.
Oh, yeah, Commissioner Park, you want to comment?
Yeah. I don't want to belabor this, but I want to make a comment that's specifically addressed towards the height of the tower. I do spend a lot of time out in the Cuyama Valley. I spent about 150 hours out there in April putting on a large equestrian event up in the foothills. And with the people out there, they know exactly where you have cell service and where you don't. It's very spotty. But it's important to have it because even if you just look for calling and emergency services, we only have one sheriff's deputy that serves the whole Cuyama Valley, and they can only do it by collaborating with the sheriff's deputy that serves Highway 33 for Ventura County. And so this kind of connection is more important than you think. I can make a silly comment. Probably most of our commissioners have not been to Ventacopa. And Ventacopa only has 2 commercial establishments, and one is a really cool little restaurant that has no regular hours. You call the owners and they come in and cook for you. So we got to have cell service out there to get there. But the other thing though about the tower, the height and the number, I'm glad Commissioner Cooney brought that up. But my observation is that we're not just serving the highway where it's wide open vistas. Cell services is serving these side canyons like Salisbury Canyon, Newsom, Castro Canyon, etc. And you kind of need that height to get that coverage. If you had a string of 40-foot poles along Highway 166, it would solve the problems with 166, but it would do a worse job of allowing reception up in those steep side canyons. So I think this is well thought out. I chuckle to think about whether there was a site visit by INBAR. Bet there wasn't. I'll bet nobody at INBAR even knows where Vinacopa is. Maybe somebody does. I bet you don't have a Vinacopa representative of INBAR. But it's kind of funny to imagine standing out there and thinking we live in a world where a pole out in that location requires architectural review, but that's our world. So I do support the motion.
Okay, and we're looking for, well, Commissioner Reed.
Just one comment. I mean, I think obviously the increased coverage along Highway 33 and the surrounding areas was far more beneficial than any slight impact on visual qualities due to the height of the pole. And I think our associate Commissioner Park knows more than any other of us the benefits of good cellular coverage. We relive that every time I call him at his home, which is not blessed by that. So I think we would do a great service by approving this.
Great. And I have no comments, so then I'll just call it for a vote.
Well, Mr. Chair, I need to make the recommended actions.
Yes.
So I will proceed to do that if there are no other comments from the commissioners. So it would be my motion to make the required findings for approval of the project specified in Attachment A of the staff report, including CEQA findings. Determine the project's exempt from CEQA pursuant to state CEQA guidelines sections 15303 and 15304, and to approve the project case number 23 CUP 21, subject to the conditions of approval included as Attachment B.
Okay. And I understand that Commissioner Briley was the one who seconded it.
Correct.
Okay, so then I'll call for a vote. Oh, why don't you do a roll call, just?
All right. Commissioner Cooney.
Aye.
Commissioner Bradley.
Aye.
Commissioner Park.
Aye.
Commissioner Reed.
Aye.
And Chair Martinez.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. So then let's move on to the second matter of our agenda. Lobos?
So that would be item number 3? Okay, great.
Yeah, I'm sorry, yes. Verizon, I thought it was number 2. Yeah.
The following is a hearing on the request of Verizon Wireless to consider case number 24 CUP2 and to determine the project is exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act pursuant to state CEQA guidelines section 15303.
While staff is doing that, I'm just going to ask the commissioners any ex parte communications regarding this matter. Seeing none, okay.
Okay, good morning, commissioners. I will be presenting, my name is Kathleen Volpe, and I'll be presenting the Verizon at D. Wolf Avenue new Tier 4A telecommunications facility project. This is an aerial view of the proposed project site. The parcel is highlighted in red, and the project is located at 2231 D. Wolf Avenue in the Lompoc area, the 4th Supervisorial District. The property is on an agricultural lot surrounded by agriculturally zoned lots and the Lompoc Federal Correctional Institution to the northeast. The black arrow indicates the lease area location. Here we have a site plan of the proposed project. The project consists of a new unmanned wireless facility on a new 100-foot co-locatable monopole highlighted in purple. The ground cabinet equipment on the concrete slab is highlighted in red. A PG&E transformer is highlighted in green, and a 30-kilowatt emergency backup diesel generator on a concrete slab is highlighted in yellow. And an 8-foot tall perimeter fence with a 10-foot wide swing gate surrounding the 900 square foot lease area is shown by the blue line. Excuse me. These are the south and east elevations of the proposed project. They show the proposed monopole and fence enclosure and an existing eucalyptus tree. Here we have photo simulations showing the proposed facility from the northeast and the southeast. And we can get a better view of the proposed facility and the existing eucalyptus tree, which is approximately 60 to 70 feet in height. The tree helps to partially blend and soften the monopole. The following slides will demonstrate the coverage maps for the area. Here we have a demonstration of the 700 megahertz coverage. The existing coverage is shown on the left, and the proposed coverage is shown on the right. And here we have the 2300 megahertz coverage. Again, the existing coverage is demonstrated on the left, and the proposed coverage is on the right. The project was heard by the North Board of Architecture Review on April 26, 2024. Overall, the board was supportive of the project, and they made a few suggestions and comments, including their preference of the monopole over the faux tree for the site, a recommendation of a non-reflective galvanized treatment of the monopole rather than a painted finish, and screening the ground equipment with earth-toned slats. The additions will help to visually blend the project, and the applicant is incorporating these elements into their final design, which will return to the MBAR for preliminary and final approval prior to permit issuance. As outlined in the staff report, the project is consistent with all policies in the Land Use and Development Code and comprehensive plan policies. The project meets all FCC requirements and LUDC standards. It was evaluated against the comprehensive plan policies and found to be consistent. Notably, the project was found to be consistent with our visual resources and our hillside and watershed protection policies. With the existing eucalyptus tree adjacent to the proposed site in the row of windbreak trees down DeWolf Avenue, the pole is partially screened from view. Further, NBAR's support of the project and incorporation of their comments to additionally screen the ground equipment continue to blend the project. Regarding hillside and watershed protection, it is located within a floodway, but has been reviewed by flood control and conditioned accordingly. The project is exempt from environmental review pursuant to CEQA section 15303, new construction or small conversion or conversion of small structures. A new Tier 4 telecom facility to extend the existing cellular network qualifies as a utility extension under Section 15303D. Staff recommends your commission make the required findings for approval, determine the project is exempt from CEQA, and approve the project subject to the conditions of approval. Staff is available for questions. Thank you.
Commissioners, any questions of staff right now? Commissioner Reed.
Sure, I have a few. In your presentation, you gave the size of the leased area where this is going to be, which was, and you said what?
Commissioner Reed, through the chair, it was 900 square feet.
900 square feet. Okay, I just wanted to get that because it's 30 by 30, which is 900. I just want to make sure that was clear. You've noticed in the coverage, you got the 700 megahertz coverage and the 2300 megahertz coverage. Which services do each of those frequencies cover?
Commissioner Reed, through the chair, I'm going to defer to the applicant to discuss that more.
Okay, that's good. And the one thing I notice that seems to be missing from this, that appears in most of these sorts of applications, was there any need or why aren't we seeing an investigation or examination of alternative sites?
Commissioner Reed, through the chair, there was an alternative site analysis. They looked at 4 potential sites and determined that this would be best suited based on location, also ability to contact with the landowner, and there may be a couple other factors that the applicant can speak to as well.
Okay, and then the 100-foot height, we just had a discussion about the requirements for 100 feet regarding the one up on the Ventacopa Highway. The 100 feet is a necessity for this, or apparently the applicant can probably answer that. Is that?
Commissioner Reed, through the chair, correct. Yeah, it does increase the coverage area, and again, the applicant can speak to that, as well as part of the coverage that we're looking for is the Lompoc Federal Prison, and there was unavailable. I believe that was part of the alternative site analysis, and we were unable to co-locate or locate there as well. So it does, additionally, I believe it's like to get above site terrain.
Okay.
So these are the items. Thank you.
So has there been a large increase in cell phone traffic coming out of that prison? And if so, what from? I had to ask that one. Yeah. I guess that's one for the applicant as well. Okay. Okay.
Commissioner Bradley.
I'm not sure where exactly I saw it, but my question has to do is why does the pole have to be kind of so close to the existing buildings on this site? Wasn't there any way to move it further away? And maybe that's a question for the applicant.
Commissioner Bradley, through the chair. I think, yeah, we would probably want to defer to the applicant on that. I think it is an ag site, and I think that they probably want to keep it as close as possible to probably keep as much in ag production as possible. That's my understanding, but I would defer to the applicant on that.
Okay, meaning that if you moved it further away, it's just like the argument we heard in the last case, and you're putting it closer to the middle of the ag field, and that's, okay. All right, thank you.